Today, I want to talk about the Himalayan glacier disaster and break it down for you into 4 simple talking points about how it's related to climate change and why that matters, in such a way that the other media outlets are not highlighting for you, and I think they're not, largely due to the power and influence of the petrochemical fossil fuel industries. From AP News, Himalayan glacier disaster highlights climate change risks, by Aniruddha Gosuf, February 9th, 2021. At least 31 people have died, 165 are missing, and many more are feared to be dead. The deluge first smashed into a small dam, gathering more energy as it grew heavier and heavier from the debris it collected along the way. So climate change, according to the article, and according to what I know in general, can increase the chances and occurrences of landslides and avalanches. And here's how it works. 1. Glaciers and ice are in decline worldwide. Citing from climate.nasa.gov the evidence, glaciers are retreating almost everywhere around the world, including the Alps, Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, Alaska, and Africa. That's a direct quote from the NASA website. From a 2019 article foreshadowing this tragedy from the Guardian News Services, titled "A Third of the Himalayan Ice Cap Doomed," finds report by Damian Carrington, February 4th, 2019. So quoting from that Guardian article, at least a third of the huge ice fields in Asia's towering mountain chain are doomed to melt due to climate change. The Hindu Kush Himalaya runs from Afghanistan to Myanmar and is the planet's 3rd pole. So just picture this in your head, these towering mountain chains going from the Tibetan Plateau all the way through Afghanistan to Pakistan, and that region, that Central Asian, East Asian beltway, these towering mountains with ice-capped, snow-capped tops. Back to the article. Harboring more ice than anywhere outside the Arctic and Antarctica. Since the 1970s, about 15% of the ice in that region has disappeared as the temperatures have risen. So point 2, numero dos, as specifically to avalanches and landslides now, according from that AP article, as glaciers melt due to warming, valleys that were earlier crammed with ice open up, creating space for landslides to move into. That's point A in number 2. Point B in number 2, in other places, steep mountainous slopes may be partially glued together by frozen ice tightly inside its crevices. So all that debris, all that soil, those slopes are just really glued in there by the ice. As warming occurs and the ice melts, the pieces can move downhill more easily, lubricated by the water. So according to that article, the ice now is basically less frozen. So when you get a little temperature spike, boom, the avalanche. The open valleys, the avalanche. But point 3 as to why it matters, or tres in Espanol, point 3 as to why it matters, is the water supply, right? Remember that NASA article said these glacial, this disappearance of glaciers is worldwide, okay? People rely, and other life forms rely on those steady, predictable thaws of the glaciers for trickling down, for agriculture, for water supplies. So in the case of the Himalaya region in particular, according to that Guardian article, what's going to happen is that initially that region is going to get inundated with more floods, which is what's happening. Combined also with the unpredictable monsoon season, which is also another climate-driven problem. So they're going to get more floods, but then eventually, as that ice is gradually disappearing, there's going to be less drinking water to go around later. Point 4, why this is so important, is those climate feedback loops I talked to you about in my Arctic video. So what's happening here is that region is described as another pole, another major area with lots of ice. And that ice is reflecting heat off of our planet. So Climate change, which is initially set in motion by the excessive burning of fossil fuels for decades, and we've had warnings going back to the 1880s about this, initially set in motion by that, is taking on a life of its own now. As that ice disappears, now you're losing that reflective quality that's reflecting the heat off of the planet, especially up in the Arctic, but the same with these Himalayan regions too. Solution? Well, in my book, I've always donated to environmental organizations. They're chartered to take care of this stuff. They're chartered to look after this. But in terms of politicians and business, well, we need less energy consumption, policies that promote less energy consumption, less consumption in general. Replace fossil fuels with renewables. Energy storage solutions, look for that when you got to fill in those gaps with the renewables. Don't try to turn to natural gas or nuclear. Look for energy storage solutions and just less consumption. More wilderness set aside. That'll help sequester some of the carbon and it gives the wildlife a break. Regenerative agriculture and organic agriculture. Remember that saying, system change, not climate change. Hey, I hope you found this video helpful. 4 reasons how the Himalayas are this glacial tragedy was due to climate change and why it matters to you. And if you did, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel, you've clicked that notification bell, you're sharing my videos, you're liking, you're commenting. Consider donating at PayPal and Patreon. And until next time, as I always say, peace be with you.